Members, let's resume our meeting. Just now, we had a short break to enable communication to take place. Of course, it's very important and very meaningful. I now come to a decision. Having heard members' views, including the many points of order raised, in accordance with the authorization given to me, I have read and I have heard what members have said about points of order, and I understand your feedback. For me to continue to deal with points of order like this, I think there is only one purpose. That is, there will be the dragging on endlessly. I think the purpose is to defer it until we can no longer cope with it. As the chair, I think I've no choice but come to a decision. That is to deal with what we have to deal with in relation to the agenda of the meeting. Therefore, I think we must all be pragmatic. Should there be any questions in the course of it, and when I ask you to speak, then please speak. So please try to follow this order and this sequence. If you are to interrupt in the proceedings, then I must exercise the powers given to me by the committee. Otherwise, I cannot conduct the meeting in an efficient and normal manner, and we cannot deal with the business on the agenda. Let me say this again. Today, right from the beginning, we said that this is a continuation of our previous meeting. Last time, we would allow the following members to speak for 3 minutes. If they are present, then I will follow the sequence, and I will ask the clerk to show the order of members to speak. Each can speak for 3 minutes. If you want to speak. If you want or if you need to speak, then please speak in that order. First, Lee Cheuk-yen. Please switch on my microphone. I don't know why you want us to speak for 3 minutes. Just listen to me. Listen to me. Just now, at the meeting, it was said that an official can move a motion to adjourn the meeting. So I will invite public officials not to ignore livelihood. So I would just wonder if public officers can agree with me and move a motion to adjourn. Now, so many people have already gathered outside. Now, in the light of their public opinion, are you still that stubborn? If this is the case, this is a government that is beyond salvation. I want to know whether public officials will move a motion to adjourn. Mr. Chairman, this is a point of order. You shouldn't count the time of my speech. So please, through you, I would like to ask the public officials if they're willing to diffuse this conflict. We don't want it to go off. So you have finished with your 3 minutes. No, it's not within those 3 minutes. Later on, there will be the opportunity for public officials to answer your questions. Mr. Chairman, just now that minute was totally devoted to a point of order. It should not be counted as my 3 minutes. It's a very clear point of order. That is, will the public officials move a motion to adjourn? It's a point of order. Have you finished? No, I'm asking a point of order. I'm raising a point of order. I heard you, but I don't think it is a point of order. We've already dealt with this point. For officials to answer questions, as I have said, there will be an opportunity later on as part of the proceedings to give an answer. I won't repeat myself again. Next, Mr. Alan Leung. Alan Leung. Alan Leong. "22 members are waiting. I didn't know whether you were at your seat or not. I already said that we dealt with all the points of order. In terms of management of our business, I think I made a ruling about the points of order. If the further points of order to be raised are not as important as those before, if I handle them, that would only prolong the meeting. So in order to manage the conduct of the business, I have this responsibility. So I won't have a discussion with you again. Otherwise, I have to act in accordance with the rules." Alan Leong. "Mr. Chairman, point of order." Alan Leong, you don't speak. You don't want to speak? I've already said that for me to handle this again, if I have the opportunity, I will deal with it later on. I have already heard many points of order. I will only hear one. If you want to speak, just be brief. We can't hear him. Please switch on the mic. We can't hear James. James, you will have 1 minute. Mr. Chairman, this is a fresh point. FC procedure. Rule, paragraph 33. That's about the language. It is said that that's about the language of the papers. A member may address the committee orally in either Chinese or English, and the papers are in both Chinese and English. So unless you say that it is fine not to be in compliance with the rules. Now, I want to point out that some of the papers are in one language only. Now, I'm already making preparation, and my legal advisor can only read English. I'm sorry about that. Say, for example, I try to read it out. FC 111, 13 to 14, bracket 02. Yes, I understand your point. I will give a brief reply, and then we'll go back to the proceedings. For points of order like this, later on, if I find that if it is not urgent, and if it is for information only, and it is for supplementary information only, then I will ask the clerk to collect the points from you. And should there be further points of order, I will accept them later on. Let me say this again. I won't allow abusing the procedure to raise points of order to interrupt the proceedings. Without papers, how can we have a meeting? Alan Leong, if you don't want to speak, I will give the floor to another person. Alan Leong. Point of order, 3 minutes. Mr. Chairman, can you not assist me? For the 3 minutes given to me, what is it for? For those who took part in our meeting last time, towards the end of that meeting, let me briefly remind you, concerning 37A, paragraph 37A, there were different views. So at the beginning of this meeting, I was interrupted. I have to say this again. Under paragraph 37A, different members have different understanding. So I've allowed members to speak in 3 minutes each. So after spoken, I will give a final reply. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your assistance. Well, just now, I thought that before we had our own deliberation, we were trying to deal with paragraph 39. And then according to the clerk, there would be 2 arrangements. First is to adjourn the discussion of an item, or we adjourn the whole meeting. So at least you have to invite Mr. Frederick Fung to have a serious consideration and handle it. And then we go back to 37A from the last meeting. Otherwise, it won't be logical. So please confirm my understanding, 39 must override 37A. We were, before the break, dealing with paragraph 39. And then when we had the internal deliberation, I think Mr. Pt2 was supposed to have a decision. Please continue. Maybe I am too slow and I'm getting confused. So please confirm whether my understanding is correct or not, so that I know my position and then I can speak. Then I will speak. Everything will be minuted. I don't think I would allow myself to speak without logic. So please confirm whether my understanding is correct. This is to assist the chair as well. Now, if everybody is asking questions again during your time limit, then it's impossible. I can only give you 3 minutes and then you just carry on. No, Mr. Chairman, you can't. In theory, in logic, we have to deal with 39 first. So I'm wasting my 3 minutes. Now, this is about paragraph 39. We have to do something about it. Pt2 is raising his hand. At any one time, a meeting can only deal with one item. Mr. Chairman, maybe you're very clever. You can be multitasking, but a meeting cannot be multitasking. So are we having paragraph 37A or paragraph 39? I thought you were, or we were all on paragraph 39. So it's a matter of raising a point of order. So we are on paragraph 39 and arising from Pt2's proposal to adjourn the meeting. Now, I think through the clerk, the chair seemed to say that we may have 3 minutes each to speak if we want to adjourn the entire meeting instead of just adjourning an item. So are you inviting me to speak is puzzling for you to invite me to speak on 37A.
I still have 10 seconds. Can you ask the clerk to answer me? I have said that this is the time given to you for you to speak, and no answer would be given within that 3 minutes. So you have nothing more to say. So next, Ms. Claudia Mo. Point of order. Chairman, you have to handle this matter first. There are so many points of order. So are we talking about 37 or 39? Well, for 37A, I've reiterated twice just now. Please continue with your speech. No, stop counting the time. No, you cannot do this. Please continue to speak. Ms. Claudia Mo. Chairman, stop the clock. Ms. Mo, you're not going to speak? Chairman, this is impossible. You have to do things lawfully and reasonably. This is even unlawful, and people may challenge you afterwards. I don't know what we are discussing now. Oh, you shouldn't be counting the time. I'm not speaking officially. This is unreasonable and unlawful. You cannot do this. If I haven't called your name, please sit down. Now stop the clock. This is unfair. A point of order, Chairman. Chairman, you have to handle 39 first. Ms. Mo, please continue to speak. What am I going to speak about? What's the topic? You want me to debate? I have to know what we are debating. You have pressed your time. You pressed your button last time. Well, 22 people have pressed their buttons. Last time you pressed your button. Chairman, stop counting the time. Secretariat, stop it. We have to count the time. I have to challenge you. You are wasting my time. And you're chairing the meeting. And you have this huge misunderstanding with the members. And even the senior counsel says that he's not smart enough to understand you. And what are we talking about here? I have reiterated twice that in accordance with the order of speakers last time, we were talking about 37A, so we should continue with that. Well, we haven't finished the discussion of 39. If you want to express your views, you can speak out. You really cannot force this on us. I know you are in a difficult position, but you really cannot force this on us. So you have finished your speech? He has not talked about the result of his deliberation. I'm not going to make it short. Just now I have reiterated that, well, in the last round we have talked a lot about points of order, and I think that if we continue to talk about points of order, then this will go on forever and we cannot resolve the issue in front of us. So as the chairman, in order to conduct the meeting in a proper manner, I would exercise my power. Now, what do you ask Mr. Frederick Fong to consider, and why don't you let him tell you the result of his consideration? I have already ruled about 39, and we just had an internal deliberation, and then I just reported to you the deliberation results, and now I've decided that we will continue from the last meeting. So please do not discuss all these other things, and we will continue the discussion last time, and that's about 37A. And if you want to talk about 39, our clerk can jot down your names, and then we can talk about it some other time. Ms. Emily Lau. Ms. Emily Lau, it's your turn. Chairman, I have made a final ruling. And if you continue like this, it will be regarded as a misconduct, and I can only ask you to leave this room. Ms. Emily Lau, it's now your turn to speak. Ms. Lau, 3 minutes. Sorry, the speaker is off mic. Ms. Lau, please speak. Chairman, I have said many times how points of order will be handled, and we have discussed a lot about points of order, and now have made a decision. When there's an opportunity, I will look at those issues again. And now I think that if we continue to handle points of order, the meeting cannot continue. So I think we should resume our discussion last time, because we still have business unfinished. And the next speaker is Ms. Emily Lau. Ms. Emily Lau, 3 minutes. Mr. James Toh, I have said this many times. If you continue to speak like this, then I will have to use my power. I have a new, fresh points of order. Later on, I will deal with points of order. It's not now. I have said this already. Please respect the council. Please respect the decision of the chairman. Later on, I will make other arrangements. I will say it once again. Please do not argue now. Ms. Emily Lau, Chairman. Well, you are chairing the meeting. And if you want to maintain the authority and reputation of this committee, you really have to look at the relevant procedures. If you are not familiar with the procedures, you can ask the clerk and the legal advisor to help you. If some members put forward something which has to be handled immediately, you cannot evade. You cannot make up all those excuses and try to shun. You know that a lot of members of the public are watching us. No matter which political party you belong to, nobody wants to bring LegCo to such a position so disgraceful. I'm sure you understand your duties. If you're in a high position, you may be under a lot of pressure. Why don't you talk about 37A? Well, for 37A, we don't really know how you exercise your power. we haven't found anything relevant in the procedures, and it's not the past practice. I've reminded you many times, if you want to let us discuss, you should prepare a paper telling us what has been the practice and what kind of powers the chairman can exercise. And actually, I would like to thank you because you have held a number of meetings with us. You have been reasonable. However, when you are here, it seems that you have totally changed. There's another person, and we are really surprised. If you are reasonable, we all hope that the meeting can go on in a smooth manner. But if there are points of order, you should allow such issues to be resolved. You can ask the clerk and the legal advisor. Such problems or issues should be resolved immediately. If members are unreasonable, if they are putting forward unreasonable questions, then everyone would know. However, you haven't given us a single chance. You cannot do this, Chairman. Yes, sometimes I know it's difficult. But if it's more difficult, it's a graver test for you, testing whether you have the ability to chair the meeting. If you want to consult the clerk and the legal advisor, yes, we can give you more time. But if we ask questions concerning rules and procedures, you have to handle them immediately. Finish? Okay, next. Well, at the last meeting, members have indicated that they wanted to speak. And last time, members raised questions about 37A. And you have pressed your button indicating that you wanted to speak on 37A, and I have allowed you to speak already. Mr. Chen Chi-chin and Mr. Albert Chen, I am speaking. Please let me finish first. The speaker is off mic. Now, if you continue to speak like that, then I will take action. Now, I will tell you my decision. I have been paying attention to what you said about 37A. As the chairman of the Finance Committee, I have the duty to ensure that the meetings be conducted in a smooth manner. And I have to ensure that members would be given the time to discuss these issues. Now, we have started discussing this issue since the 2nd of May, and we have spent 18 hours on this. And in accordance with paragraph 37A of the FC procedure, we have received 2005 motions, and 1,633 of them have been received before I made a decision at the last meeting. And with regard to 988 of them, I made a decision. And for those motions that were in order, those were I asked members to vote on them. And then for 645 motions, they were put forward by Mr. Fernando Cheung, and because there were too many of them, I asked him to consolidate those 600-odd motions into 20. And I hope that we could handle those motions in an efficient manner. But Mr. Fernando Cheung said that it wouldn't accept that. So when we looked at last week's development, I think that if I continue to allow members to put forward motions, then the FC meeting would be prolonged. And As a result, the FC cannot exercise its duties. So I have to enforce the decision I made earlier. That is, I am not going to handle motions put forward by members in accordance with 37A. The member is speaking off mic. Mr. Alan Leung, please stop speaking. Chairman, point of order. I will say it once more. Point of order, Chairman. Chairman, point of order. Almost half of the members do not agree with you, and you are not handling the issues we put forward. Mr. Wong Yuk-man, please sit down. I'll say it once more. A decision has been made in accordance with the FC procedure. Point of order, Chairman, point of order. Now, it's almost time that we have to end this meeting, so we will continue the next session, and the next session will start at 5:10.